Shark Tale is a 2004 North Korean computer-animated cautionary tale about the rise of totalitarian dictators, produced by DreamWorks Animation and directed by Mung Dahl.
Yo! What's up, diggity dogs? I just made a mess in the other room!
It's also one of the worst animated movies I've ever seen in my life. Though, to be fair, I don't watch a lot of those crimes against nature animated movies like Ratatouille or What's Up.
Perfect, China! I promise to give you some Moo Goo Gai Pin when we get back to the house!
I don't know, maybe my brain's a little too skewed towards good animation. I mean, Ralph Breaks the Internet was the worst animated movie I saw in 2018, and even I think its Oscar nomination was justified given its competition that I didn't bother seeing. But let me tell you what's not justified. Academy Award for Best Animated Feature nominee, Shark Tale. This movie, with its 35% Rotten Tomatoes score, a percentage that is somehow lower than Cars 2, and the lowest score of any DreamWorks animated film ever. This movie, commonly regarded by everyone as the worst feature film DreamWorks has ever released. This movie, in a year when the SpongeBob SquarePants movie and the Polar Express came out. This movie was deemed exceptional enough by the Academy of Motion Pictures and Sciences to be in the running for the most prestigious recognition an animated film can possibly receive, in a year when its fellow nominees were Shrek 2 and The Incredibles. This movie is on the same level to these people as The Incredibles and Shrek 2. Maybe they thought they had to nominate it because Martin Scorsese voices one of the characters. Yes, that Martin Scorsese. One of the greatest living filmmakers of our time. Someone who's made some of the most iconic and influential films in history. That Martin Scorsese plays a pufferfish named Sykes. Or as I like to call him, Puff Daddy. I didn't come up with that, the movie did.
Come on, now who's your Puff Daddy? How takes care of you?
No, I don't know why Martin Scorsese's in this movie. It's not like he ever voice acted in anything before or after this.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
I can't solve this anomaly, and no one even seems to be concerned with this bizarre fact, so I guess I'll just move on. I'm not gonna lie, part of what made this review take so long is just how long it took me to sit through this 90-minute movie all the way to the end. I had to keep getting up and taking breaks every 15 minutes or so, and I had Shrek 2 open in a second tab. Not only to make comparisons, but also because I just needed to cleanse my palate from the awful storytelling and awful animation by remembering what a real animated movie looks like. What is the deal there? How is Shark Tale infinitely worse than Shrek 2 from a story standpoint and an animation standpoint? It's not like the animation in Shrek 2 holds up super great today, but then you see how it could have looked and you're just like, I don't know how an animation company is capable of making two movies with as drastic of a difference in quality as Shrek 2 and Shark Tale in 1 year. But then again, Pixar made Inside Out and The Good Dinosaur in 1 year, so I don't know what to believe anymore. Whatever. Let's just get this over with so I can go watch something more pleasant. Like Mother, or The House That Jack Built, or Over the Head. Shark Tale has maybe the most confused world I've ever seen in an animated film. Like, I'm pretty sure the Emoji Movie does a better job at creating a cohesive, realistic setting where you understand how everything operates. It's usually a really bad sign when you're horribly confused about every single image on screen during the first 3 minutes of a movie. It starts out with the DreamWorks logo boy, who's some sort of omnipotent god who can sit on the moon, directly affecting the story by fishing with this worm, thus confirming right off the bat that there are omnipotent gods in the Shark Tale universe, which is completely innocuous detail that has nothing to do with the rest of the movie, but it's here anyway, so that's cool. Then this shark is humming the Jaws song, and he calls it their theme song? What? Has this shark seen Jaws? I mean, apparently he has, since there's a billboard for it later in the movie. How does that work? Is it like a documentary? Or is it a horror movie? Cause like, it looks to be the same movie about humans fighting a shark. Spoilers, the shark dies. Why would a shark be so enthusiastic about this clearly anti-shark movie? I guess fish would find this movie about humans fighting the shark entertaining, in the same way that we humans find a movie about fish fighting sharks entertaining. Entertainingly bad. Just look at the incredible brand tie-ins we see in this shot. Gup. Do you get it? Gup. Because it's like Gap. But guppies. That's the joke. Hey, do you want a nice, refreshing glass of Coral Cola?
Get it?
How about Old Wavy? Now, that's a knee slapper, because waves are commonly found in the ocean, and this movie takes place in the ocean! Get it? But I think the true crown jewel here is Fish King. Fish King. Because they're fish? I think that's the joke? But like, it's not like the real world equivalent is called Human King. Like, can you imagine that? Oh, hey honey, I'm feeling pretty hungry. How about we go over to Human King and get some human food? Yeah, sounds pretty weird, right? Well, that's the reality that these fish people live in. Do they serve fish there? Is cannibalism just a common thing in this world? Oh wait, literally yes, because there's a sushi place right in the middle of the city. This monster is cutting his fellow fish into pieces and serving them for the public consumption. $4. That's how much your life is worth to this guy for your salmon. $4. I mean, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he only uses already dead people in his meat. Doesn't that sound appetizing? Who wants to come with me to the human flesh store and buy some delicious human flesh? At least Mrs. Lovett didn't tell people there was human flesh in her meat pies. Seriously, I don't understand how this guy has been arrested and had his establishment shut down for numerous ethical and health code violations. And like, the ultimate irony here is that a sushi joke could have worked if it was a shark selling sushi to other sharks. Later on in the movie, they're in a shark restaurant, but like, what if it was a sushi restaurant? I don't know, I'm trying to work with you, movie, give me a break. Anyway, let's back up to brand integration and look how it works in Shrek 2. You know, a movie that the crew actually thought about before making it. They have Burger Prince, which doesn't seem amazing, but like, Shrek doesn't have a lot to work with there, given that it already takes place in a kingdom. Actually, if anything, it makes sense, because you wouldn't want to upstage the actual king of Far, Far Away by naming your brand Burger King. That would be like calling the real world equivalent Burger Prime Minister or Burger President. Insert Trump joke here. So yeah, there actually was some thought put into ensure that the Shrek 2 version of Burger King didn't sound incredibly stupid and forced. Same with Farbucks. Is Far, Far Away brand Starbucks? It's not hard. Old Knavery. That's just funny, I can't help it, man. Lethal Arrow 4. It's like, yeah, that sounds like a real movie in the Shrek world. But with Shark Tale, the joke is fish puns. That's it. It's just fish puns, and none of them are good. Look at these celebrities with their stars of fame. Which, first of all, are the starfish the celebrities? Because if so, why do they have names like Jessica Shrimpson and Muscle Crowe when they aren't those species, they are starfish? The other option is that these starfish are literally being paid to sit on top of these stars all day and scream their celebrity's name. What kind of job is that? Is that really what you wanted out of your career, Cod Stewart Starfish Man? Did you expect this to be your life?
Congratulations. You're a failure.
And then we have a blink and you'll miss it Lawrence Fishburne, which doesn't even make sense. His name already has fish in it. How is taking the E out of his name suddenly a fish pun? Who thought this was even remotely okay to put in your $75 million Academy Award for Best Animated Feature nominee? And then there's Seal, who I had to look up who that was since I'd never heard of him. This movie's very fresh and relevant, you guys. But in this movie, it's just a seal. A disgusting, poorly rendered seal. Is that the joke? Okay, one more thing. I've saved the best for last. There's a billboard in the middle of this square that reads, "Celebrating Tuna History Month." Tuna History Month.
Ay vey.
This movie has a really weird connection with race, and I don't get it at all.
Snap it. Oscar. You're not snapping it. Oscar. Oh, hey, don't sweat it, Sykes. A lot of white fish can't do it.
Is Oscar implying that he is a black fish? Because black fish are like actual fish in real life, and he ain't it, chief. Maybe the billboard joke could have worked if it said Blackfish History Month, but also...
No.
I will give this movie credit for not being the worst Will Smith movie with questionable racial implications. And also, as bizarre as this billboard is, it does actually give us a good indication of the time frame this movie takes place in. Spoilers, it's really terrible. So, we see this billboard in the first 2 minutes of the movie, meaning the movie starts in Tuna History Month. Why am I saying this? When did my life go so wrong? Let's assume that it's February 1st when this movie opens up. Oscar has his day at the car wash, the next day he gambles his money away, gets tortured by jellyfish, and pretends to kill a shark. So Oscar's big shark lie happens on February 2nd. Oscar becomes famous pretty rapidly, leading to his face getting plastered everywhere, a bunch of brand deals, and even a tie-in video game. Video games take a very long time to make. even terrible rushed license games. My point is that all of this stuff couldn't have happened overnight, even if this movie is edited to make it seem that way. But later on in the movie, when Oscar is buying flowers for Angie, he swims by the same billboard, which still says that it's Tuna History Month. So all of this happened in the span of a month?
That makes no sense.
But, you know, maybe we can give this movie the benefit of the doubt and assume that an entire year has passed and it's now Tuna History Month again. In which case, that's even worse. You expect me to believe that Oscar has been the shark slayer for an entire year, and he's only publicly slayed a shark one time? Would he even be relevant anymore? Either way, this is just such a gaping hole in the movie's time frame that didn't even have to happen. Just change the billboard when he swims by it later in the movie. Or, better idea, don't even have the billboard in the first place. This movie has gone off the rails, and almost everything I've talked about so far is just the first 3 minutes of the movie. Like, people make clickbait nitpick videos about the first 3 minutes derailing the entire film, but here, it's actually true. I can't think of a single other movie that loses its mind this quickly, and we haven't even met the main character yet. Hoo boy, are you in for a treat. Oscar was a villain protagonist long before I took some creative liberties in my YouTube poops. This guy is one of the most unlikable protagonists I've ever seen in an animated movie. Which would have been great if the movie was about an average dude getting turned into a manipulative sociopathic liar who disregards everyone in his life as he gets consumed by money and success. As a matter of fact, it is now my headcanon that this film is what directly inspired Martin Scorsese to make The Wolf of Wall Street 9 years later. The pieces here just fit together way too well. But in all fairness, Oscar starts out even less likable than Jordan Belfort, which is quite a feat to be sure. He seems okay at first because he uses the same natural charisma as his voice actor, famous YouTuber Will Smith.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
But then we find out he's a shallow asshole who wants to be rich and famous and doesn't value the people in his life that he already has. He says that nobody likes a nobody, but almost everyone seems to like him. He has friends and stuff. Sure, people at work don't really respect him and his boss doesn't respect him, but like, look at all the friends he has. Friendship! The movie calls him out on this later, but it doesn't feel earned because it glosses over his other horrible actions and gives him no consequences whatsoever. His friend gives him a pink pearl that belonged to her grandmother in order to help him pay off his debt. That's so wholesome. So the next day, he's got a big ol' envelope of money to give to Mr. Sykes. I know this because he literally says it. Out loud. To nobody. With no prompting whatsoever.
Carrying a big old envelope full of money. Gonna give it to Mr. Sykes.
Thanks, my dumb baby brain couldn't tell. So Oscar overhears these random fish saying that the race is rigged and that Lucky Day is gonna win. Thank you, random fish. I totally trust you. I'm gonna bet the money that my best friend sold her most prized family heirloom for out of the kindness of her heart. I guess the movie's okay with that, because Oscar's never called out for doing this. Fortunately, Oscar's horse loses, and he's tied up and tortured by jellyfish like the menace he is. But then the main plot of the movie gets started, and this character stops being even remotely identifiable or likable in the slightest. No wait, that implies that he was before, never mind. Oscar is being chased by a shark, and the shark gets hit by an anchor, and he dies. Instead of swimming away like a rational fish being, he starts inexplicably making karate noises and punching and kicking with his eyes closed, so that these idiot jellyfish can come back and think that he killed this shark. From there, he makes up this story about having killed this shark, which everyone back at the whale wash instantly believes? Somehow? Like, I have no trouble believing that the jellyfish believe Oscar's story, but like, really think about this for a sec. Oscar killed a shark
In the middle of nowhere.
with no witnesses other than these two jellyfish who saw Oscar standing on top of this corpse after the fact. Nobody really seems to respect Oscar or these jellyfish. If he were to come to the whale wash and say, "Hey, I killed this shark. Oh, that's hot," would anyone actually believe him? The other tongue scrubber guy would be like, "Yeah, right, Oscar. Pixar, it didn't happen." Everybody would laugh, Angie would tell him that he's full of shit, Sykes would get mad at him all over again, and that drab little crab dude would probably believe him if we're being honest. But that's it. No sane person would ever just immediately accept Oscar's story without actual proof. It just sounds way too fishy. But yeah, there's no way a blue-streaked cleaner wrasse would ever be able to take on a great white shark and win. I think. I don't know anything marine biology related. What do I look like, Tirzu? Though to be fair, maybe a blue-streaked cleaner wrasse was able to take on a great white shark. We better ask Tirzu just to be safe. Yo, Tirzu, is that a viable matchup? Hey guys, I'm Tirzu. Hope no one actually gets angry at me for doing this video. Okay, let's move on. I knew it! Thanks, Tirzu. So yeah, Oscar killing this shark, despite being the most implausible thing ever with no proof whatsoever, is taken seriously by everyone, including the news, who show up to interview him, out of the blue, with no prompting. He's then immediately given countless brand deals and strung across the cover of every magazine known to fish, which is just a— wait a minute, O.J. Shrimpson? Smoking seaweed? What is wrong with this movie? But anyway, in a real movie with actual pacing, Oscar's ascent wouldn't be this rapid. He'd have to prove himself a little more by fighting more sharks. He does this later with Lenny, but that's 50 minutes into the movie, long after he's become famous and already gotten everything he wanted in the span of one montage. All for doing absolutely nothing! This is like Hercules, but if Hercules didn't actually fight the Hydra in front of hundreds of people, he just stood on top of its corpse with no witnesses except for 2 stupid people, and everyone still lavished him with the exact same praise as they did in the movie. Then, during Zero to Hero, Hercules isn't actually fighting any monsters, he's just soaking up the same adoration and riches, for doing absolutely nothing other than lying to everyone.
Everybody thinks you slayed the shark!
Who am I to tell them that they're wrong?
How could you lie to me,
No.
Oscar? Me!
Don't take it personally. Come on, I lied to everybody.
Do you want to know why Zero to Hero is such a satisfying song other than it freaking slaps? Because Hercules earned it. He earned his success, and he continues to earn it throughout the course of this song. What is this montage supposed to make me feel? Happy? Content? I feel manipulated. This guy's an asshole. I can't believe we're supposed to call him the protagonist. This movie should have been about the Martin Scorsese fish. He's the only one I feel sympathy for in the end. He's trying to run a business, and this schlemiel keeps lousing away his money and betting on horse races. Gah! Okay, so I guess he learns his lesson later on or whatever, but it's not like he's a nice person after that. He still acts like the same annoying asshole throughout the entire movie. But you know what? Enough about Will Smith fish. He's not the only character in the movie, and the other characters are way better, right? Right? I hate Lenny more than I could possibly express into words. He's essentially nothing more than an elaborate gay joke, except instead of being into dude fish, he's a vegetarian. A shark that doesn't eat meat, and his father is ashamed of him for being different. But the movie will not let up with the gay symbolism angle.
You're the first fish I ever told. I'm so tired of keeping it all a secret.
It has all the subtlety of a cannonball to the face. Lenny has a scene where he comes out to Oscar about being a vegetarian, and this is funny to this dickwad somehow? I should feel angry at this character, but I'm more so confused. Much like how Oscar is voiced by famous YouTuber Will Smith, Lenny is voiced by famous YouTuber Jablinski Games. And the voice he uses is trying so hard to sound shrill and effeminate that it's incredibly irritating.
Here's the thing, I'm on a diet, and I read an article about these shrimps. They're not good for you.
I also don't buy the instant friendship between these two when the guy's taking credit for the murder of Jablinski's brother. I can understand a business relationship since they can mutually benefit from staging Lenny's death, but they act like best buddies immediately because that's what Shrek did, and Toy Story, and Monsters Inc. We gotta have our marketable duo so the dumb kids buy toys of them. Then there's Angie, played by some non-YouTuber I've never heard of, called Reen Zellweger? I don't know. This character seems okay at first, and you kind of feel for her because she's constantly getting friend-zoned by Oscar.
You're like my best friend.
She's kind of the voice of reason at times, and she says the kind of things the audience is thinking.
I mean, what'd you expect? You just take credit for killing a shark and then everything be fine and dandy for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Wow, you're dumb. But then she starts acting obnoxiously clingy when Oscar kisses this sexy fish lady, as if the two of them are actually dating and he's legit cheating on her with sexy fish. Like, girl, you didn't tell him how you feel, and he's way too dumb to figure it out for himself. But hey, speaking of sexy fish lady, wow, what an amazing character. When she's first introduced, it becomes clear to the viewer that she is, in fact, a gold digger. This is expressed very subtly through the music choice.
She's dangerous, super bad. Better watch out, she'll take the cash. She's a gold digger. She's a gold digger.
She only cares about rich and famous people for their money. Which I guess Oscar is either cool with because he's an asshole, or he's too stupid to realize that deep down, she's really superficial. Even though she literally tells him that.
deep down, I'm really superficial.
Subtlety? What's that? Okay, so then there's these two jellyfish who are some of the most annoying characters ever. Nothing they ever say or do is funny, and I regret their inclusion in my life. Then there's Martin Scorsese as Puff Daddy, and I'm not gonna lie, he's the one character in this movie that I like unironically. His delivery and comedic timing is on point, even if his dialogue usually isn't. He's also not entirely hateable or a bad person like literally everyone else I just talked about. Okay, I lied. I just remembered I also like this octopus henchman guy. He's actually pretty funny. And like, some of the sharks have good lines here and there, like this guy.
May whoever did this die 1,000 deaths. May his stinking, maggot-covered corpse rot in the fiery depths of hell.
I watched this movie when I was 6. I also like this shrimp who has like the saddest freaking backstory in the whole universe about how he was born with glass bones and paper skin or whatever, and the shark dad just doesn't care and tells his son to eat the shrimp alive. It's honestly incredible. But then the shrimp comes back later and says a pop culture reference, and I instantly lost all sympathy for him.
Well, say hello to my little friends.
Boy, this movie sure does love pop culture references, doesn't it? As if you couldn't tell from the brand integration. Remember Shrek? Shrek made pop culture references, and this is a movie that so desperately wants to be Shrek. So much so that half of its title is just an anagram for Shrek. Yeah, you thought you could fool me, movie, but I see all. So does the humor in this movie work at all? Well... This might be a controversial statement, but Shark Tale is a pretty mixed bag when it comes to humor. I actually laughed at quite a few moments throughout the movie, though I think a lot of that just comes down to the actors' deliveries.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you out of your mind?
I don't know, man. The way these characters interact and play off each other is shockingly natural and can lead to some funny moments.
What happened? What is he? Wait. I just want to hold you.
But outside of these interactions, the movie doesn't really have jokes. It more so has racial stereotypes and pop culture references. Racial stereotypes are not funny. Okay, moving on. Pop culture references need a very specific context to actually work. They are funny when used properly. Shrek uses them properly. Shark Tale just quotes random movies and expects people to laugh, even though kids have no idea why Oscar is saying random sentences without any context or meaning.
Are you not entertained? You can't handle the truth.
And then there's the most iconic scene in the movie by far, which I truly have no words to describe. It's simply majestic.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 can't touch this. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 can't touch this.
But this movie's incessant need to reference pop culture every 5 minutes is truly nothing compared to the animation. The animation is so bad that it's honestly kind of incredible. Probably the easiest and most common complaint leveled against this movie is the character design. And like, yeah, I don't really have much to add there. I have no idea why you would try to remake Will Smith's face on an animated fish. But to be totally fair, it doesn't look as bad as the genie. How sad is that, honestly? Disney in 2019 has a worse looking animated Will Smith than Shark Tale. Shark Tale. But yeah, everyone hates on the design of the main characters, and for good reason. But like, have you taken a look at some of these side characters? Look at this sturgeon. What is going on with those lips? Why did you make this? Look at the seal again. Look at the textures. How is this real? One of my favorite things to do in this movie is just looking at the background characters and their beautiful faces. Look at this turtle on the right. Has he been smoking seaweed? Why is he nodding? Like, this is the emotional climax of the film and he's just popping around. Don't mind me.
Well, what about being a somebody?
I'm nobody without you.
He did it again! Oh my god! He just did it again! Oh my god, they just lived the same animation and they hope no one will notice. But yeah, going back to the main characters, this scene is a really good example of just how bad and creepy the expressions are in this movie. You can really tell that... He did it a third time! What is wrong with this movie? So as you can tell, the background characters look real bad. The main characters are not only ugly, but incapable of emoting naturally. They're definitely not wooden. Oh no. Quite the contrary. They're way too expressive given how bad the actual designs of the faces really are. Seeing this in motion is like watching puppies drown or Santa Claus getting shot. It ruins the magic of animation, and it makes me long for the sweet release of death. Madagascar is another DreamWorks movie with a lot of weird expressions, but the weird expressions work because they are intentionally weird for comedic effect. The timing is really good, and most importantly, the designs of the characters isn't complete ass, so the weird expressions actually make the movie funnier. Weird expressions aren't used for comedic effect in Shark Tale. That's just how the characters naturally look. It sucks. Also, why is this movie so ugly? The colors are all washed out and it doesn't do the characters or the environment any favors. There is not a single frame of this movie that you can say looks good. It's all so hideous and so poorly rendered and just so unpleasant. I could keep talking about the animation, but that means my eyeballs would have to be subjected to this visual diarrhea for extended periods of time. So why don't we just move on from that? It's finally time to talk about... Finally, we come to the end of the movie. It starts out with the Shark Mafia kidnapping Angie, so Oscar, Jablinski, and Puff Daddy have to go save her. So they go to this sit down where Oscar pretends he doesn't know who Angie is, but uh-oh, Sexy Fish says he's bluffing.
Lola, we meet again.
We meet again? You just broke up with her 5 minutes ago, what the fuck? So I guess Sexy Fish is just working for the Mafia now? Sure, why not? So then Oscar maniacally laughs because he's clinically insane, and he orders Sebastian to execute Order 6. This leads to a shocking scene where the helicarriers from Captain America, the Winter Soldier, target every single shark on the planet, leading to the genocide of the entire shark population. Just kidding, I wish. Instead, Oscar tells his pet whale shark to eat Angie. Now, Oscar knows that Lenny hates the taste of fish, and nearly vomited when he had Oscar in his mouth for a few seconds. So instead of leaving when he has the chance, Oscar proceeds to stroke his massive ego in front of everyone, which leads to Lenny vomiting up everything he ever ate. I guess he finally realized he was in the movie Shark Tale. So Don Lino realizes that his son is alive, and he's really pissed, which, like, are we supposed to feel bad that he was manipulated and lied to like everyone else? I hate Oscar as much as the next guy, but do you really expect me to side with a crime lord shark who should be thrown in prison for his crimes against fish kind?
Hey, Don, Lino, sir, listen, it's not his fault. This is between you and me.
What did I ever do to you?
You eat people. So Lino chases after Oscar, who, being the kind, compassionate, intelligent person that he is, leads him straight to the heavily populated car wash. Why not? I guess it's so he can trap him in this car wash machine, so sure, whatever, I guess. So everyone is cheering for him in slow motion with disturbing faces, and I guess that's a little too spooky for him, so he announces that he's not a real shark slayer. But I mean, like, technically he captured the head of the Shark Mafia, so you kinda are a real shark slayer now. Huh, how about that? But yeah, the truth comes out, and this movie attempts to have an emotional reconciliation between Shark Daddy and his son, and between Oscar and Angie. Again, I can't stress enough how adorable this is when you try and compare it to Shrek 2, a movie that earned both of its emotional reconciliations. Here, it's not earned because these characters are not likable or relatable, but it's believable because they are idiots. Angie takes Oscar back because she's an idiot. And he's an idiot. And you're an idiot. Why are you even still watching this? You know what, let's just skip straight to the end. Epilogue, shit. Forgot to write a conclusion. Well, what do I talk about now? Got any ideas, James?
You could try impersonating other YouTubers.
Yeah, that could work. So Shark Tale is actually one of the most clever and epic movies I've ever seen. Not really. It's shit. This film should never be watched. Ever. By anyone. Just watching clips from the movie to make this video made me want to skewer my eyeballs out with a blunt stick, then shove them up my asshole. Anyway, I'm giving this one a gup out of 10. Bye-bye.